Welcome back to Garden Guru. If you look around your garden in spring and start wondering what you should cut back, what you should leave alone, and what you might accidentally ruin if you prune too soon, this video is for you. Spring is when a lot of gardeners get the urge to clean everything up all at once. And honestly, that is where a lot of pruning mistakes begin. Because some plants really do want a spring cutback, and some plants will absolutely make you regret it by losing flowers, losing buds, or just getting set back when they did not need to be. So in this video, I want to keep this simple and practical. Not every plant in the world, not a giant pruning encyclopedia, just a clear guide to what you can usually prune in spring, what you should usually leave alone for now, and how to think through the difference before you start cutting. Section 1. Start with what is usually safe. The easiest place to start is with the category that is usually the safest: dead growth, broken stems, winter-damaged growth, branches that are clearly rubbing, crossing, or just not healthy. That kind of cleanup is usually the lowest risk spring pruning. At that point, you are not really reshaping the plant. You are just removing material that is damaged, dead, or obviously not helping. And that is a good mindset to begin with because it slows you down. Instead of walking into the garden thinking, I need to cut everything back, you start by asking, what clearly needs to go? That one shift can save you from a lot of bad spring decisions. And this is not just my opinion. The Royal Horticultural Society, one of the most respected gardening organizations in the UK, gives similar advice and recommends starting with dead, damaged, or weak growth before moving into more specific pruning choices. So if you are unsure where to begin there. Section 2. What is often good to prune in spring? Now let's move into the category of things that are often good spring pruning candidates. One of the easiest examples is ornamental grasses that were left standing over winter. If you kept them up for winter interest, for texture, or for wildlife value, spring is often the time to cut that old growth back before the fresh, new growth gets too tangled with it. That is a very common recommendation, including from Oregon State University's Gardening and Horticulture Guidance, which points out that many ornamental grasses are best cut back in early spring. The same basic idea often applies to many perennials that were left standing through winter. If the old top growth is brown, collapsed, and clearly finished, spring is often the right time to clean that up and make room for new growth. Spring is also a common pruning window for many shrubs that bloom later in the season, especially late summer and autumn bloomers that flower on new growth. And again, this is where respected gardening sources are actually pretty consistent. The Royal Horticultural Society gives similar advice and generally recommends pruning many later blooming shrubs in spring because they flower on current season growth. Roses are another common spring pruning example. A lot of gardeners are used to pruning roses in spring to encourage stronger growth and better flowering, and that is also standard advice from university gardening programs, including Oregon State's horticulture guidance. So if you want a simple memory shortcut, spring is often a good time for cleanup of old dead top growth, cutting back ornamental grasses, cleaning up many old perennial tops, pruning many summer and autumn bloomers, pruning roses, removing obviously damaged wood. That is the easier side of the equation. Section 3. What you usually should not prune yet. Now let's talk about the category that causes the most frustration. These are the plants people cut in spring and then wonder why they did not flower well afterward. The biggest one is spring flowering shrubs. If a shrub blooms in late winter or spring on wood it made last year, cutting it back in spring often means cutting off the flowers you were about to get. This is one of the clearest pruning rules you will hear repeated by reputable gardening sources. The Royal Horticultural Society, for example, advises pruning many early flowering shrubs after they bloom, not before. That is why shrubs like forsythia and similar spring bloomers are usually better pruned after flowering instead of during the general spring cleanup rush. This is also where people get tripped up with some hydrangeas. Not all hydrangeas behave the same way, and that is what makes them confusing. Some bloom on new wood, but others bloom on old wood. So if you prune the wrong one too hard in spring, you can remove the buds that were supposed to flower. And that is not just random internet confusion. The Royal Horticultural Society specifically groups certain hydrangeas among plants that flower on older growth, which is why timing matters so much. Another big leave it alone for now category is spring bulb foliage. Once tulips, daffodils, and similar bulbs finish blooming, a lot of people want to cut the leaves off right away because they start to look messy. But those leaves are still doing a job. They are helping feed the bulb for next year. So even though it is tempting to tidy them up, bulb foliage is usually something you want to leave alone until it naturally yellows and dies back. Section 4. The easiest decision rule. If you are standing in the yard with pruners in your hand and you are not sure what to do, here is the simplest question to ask. Does this plant bloom on old wood or new wood? You do not need to become a pruning expert overnight, but that one question will save you from a lot of trouble. If a plant flowers on last year's growth, then cutting it in spring may remove the flower buds. If it flowers on this year's growth, spring pruning is often much safer, and in some cases it is exactly what the plant wants. That is the big dividing line. And this is one of those rare gardening rules that is actually pretty consistent across reputable sources. That old wood versus new wood distinction keeps coming up because it matters so much. If you do not know which kind of plant you have, that is your cue to slow down and avoid hard pruning until you are sure. A lot of spring pruning mistakes happen because people cut first and identify later. Usually, that order should be reversed. Section 5. A practical spring pruning approach. So what does a smart spring pruning session actually look like? I would think of it in layers. First, remove the obvious: dead, broken, winter damaged, weak or crossing growth. Second, clean up the things that are commonly cut back in spring: ornamental grasses, many old perennial tops, certain summer and autumn bloomers, and of course, the always tricky roses. Third, be careful with anything that is about to flower, already forming buds, or known to bloom on older wood. And fourth, do not confuse cleanup with hard pruning. That is where a lot of people get into trouble. A light cleanup is one thing, a major reshaping cut is something else. A lot of spring pruning mistakes happen because people start out tidying and then keep going until they have heavily cut back a plant that really should have been left mostly alone. So instead of asking, how much can I cut here? A better question is, what actually needs to be cut right now? That usually leads to much better decisions. Section 6. Plants people most often get wrong. If I had to simplify the biggest spring pruning mistakes into a few high-risk categories, they would be these. Spring flowering shrubs before bloom is finished. That is one of the easiest ways to lose the current flower display. Old wood bloomers treated like new wood bloomers. This is where so much hydrangea frustration comes from. A lot of people do not realize that two hydrangeas can look similar in the yard and still respond very differently to pruning. Bulb foliage cleaned up too early. It looks neater for a moment, but it can weaken the bulb and reduce next year's flowers. Tender or evergreen shrubs cut too early in cold weather. This is another place where good gardening guidance urges caution. The Royal Horticultural Society notes that some evergreens and tender shrubs are better left until conditions are a little warmer and safer. Cutting everything just because it still looks brown. Some plants wake up late. Some plants only need selective cleanup, not a hard reset. And if you treat every brown stem like a problem, you are probably going to cut back something that would have been fine with a little patience. That is why blanket spring pruning causes so many problems. A tidier garden is nice, but keeping your blooms, your buds, and your plant's natural timing intact is better. So if I had to boil this down, the spring pruning filter is pretty simple. Prune dead, damaged, and clearly finished growth. Cut back many ornamental grasses and many old perennial tops. Prune many summer and autumn bloomers in spring. Prune roses in spring, but leave spring flowering shrubs, many old wood bloomers, and bulb foliage alone until the timing is right. If you use that framework, you will avoid a lot of the most common spring pruning mistakes. Well, there you have it. I hope this helped you feel more confident about what to prune in spring and what to leave alone for now. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep getting your hands dirty. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Garden Guru, and I'll see you in the next one.